Oh boy.
News dominated by the
Oh
Shohei
boy.
Ohtani gambling scandal. That news broke, I think, was it 2 hours, 1 hour before we went on the air last Wednesday night?
That is correct.
And I'm not sure any of the facts have changed or any of the revelations have changed very much since last week. We pretty much learned everything we needed to know in those first 2 hours. Shohei did speak to the media, which was fairly useless. He, of course, denied betting on any sports or certainly not baseball. He said that his former interpreter, Ipe Mizuhara, is a liar and a thief, which was very predictable. But yeah, I think we're kind of on the facts finding tour. I guess we're pretty much where we began. A couple of news items did come out with little sketchiness on the public biography of Ipe Mizuhara. There's some discrepancies there. He's listed years ago. He was listed on the Angels website as a graduate of University of California, Riverside in 2007, and that university has subsequently said he never went to this school. At least we have no one by that name on our books. Also, he was listed as employed by I think it was the 2012 Red Sox as an interpreter, and the Red Sox have come out and say he never worked for us. So the evidence is kind of piling up against the interpreter that there might be some lies, at least in his past. He's definitely a gambler. That is something that is beyond dispute. The question is whether he was gambling on his own or gambling with Shohei Otani's money or his interest in mind. So I don't know. What have you thought over this last week since we've delved into this subject?
I think there's more of the onion that needs to be peeled back when I I I start to doubt things when a player holds a press conference, doesn't allow any questions to be asked, and just rattles off a 12-minute statement. I mean, it's it's it just makes me feel
If
uneasy about the whole situation. We talked about it last week, and the story's been removed everywhere. I've tried to find it again, but there was that initial report where Ohtani admitted he knew what was going on and was helping him out.
I've got it
But
here.
you have
I've
it
got
there.
it here actually. Yeah, and the Athletic just reported it again
Oh,
earlier
did
this
they?
week. So
Okay,
it's not
yeah.
yeah, it's not totally gone. What they wrote was, and it's a question, it's the critical question of this whole thing is they actually quoted someone from Otani's camp, their crisis management director, said, quote, he was paraphrasing or quoting Shohei himself on that first day. Yes, I sent several large payments. That's the maximum amount I could send. So it's like,
Yeah.
and then
He's
the next and then the
yeah.
next day, it's like, no, I didn't do anything. Ipe's a liar and he stole from me. We talked about that last week. How the most damning thing is the two completely different stories out of Shohei, and they're I think what they're trying to do is trying to say there was some miscommunication within his camp, which includes Ipe himself, because he was, apparently lying to them all. So those conflicting reports are from multiple sources within his camp. Then, so that's where the onion you refer to needs to be peeled back. I'm not sure how deep we're going to get into that onion or how much we're going to learn. Major League Baseball did announce they are finally investigating this. That was like a late Friday evening news dump. They announced that they would be investigating. And you think about it, they don't have subpoena power. They don't, they can investigate all they want. Doesn't mean they're going to get any information that a law enforcement agency could get, such as the FBI, who is investigating this. But baseball also has no interest in tearing down their biggest money making machine right now. Their most worldwide popular athlete they have. So there's an inherent conflict of interest. Of course,
hundred percent.
that's a cynical viewpoint, but that's where we are these days.
It's the reality of the situation. It's a disaster
Yeah.
if they go through a process that finds out somehow. I mean, I think it gets sketchy even if he knew I think there has to be some sort of slap on the wrist if he initiated the payments, because any
Yeah.
association
And
to gambling and being a professional athlete is just prohibited.
well, it's prohibited because it was illegal in the state of California.
Well,
It's
that too.
100% prohibited
That
by
too,
Major
but
League
I mean,
Baseball
yeah,
rules.
yeah.
If he was doing this through DraftKings, that's a little less murky. I think you can do that. You certainly can't do that on baseball. And so far, we've had no one has said that Ipe or Shohei or anybody has been betting on baseball. But we'll see, where that comes out. That's where things get horrific if that is the case, which I certainly hope not. The way we're going to learn more about this is the federal investigation into the bookie. I think his last name is Boyer. That there's a lot of questions that I would have for him at least. But number one would be, why would he allow this interpreter so much leeway that he would let him get almost $5 million in debt
Let me tell you
if
how it
it wasn't
works.
with the
No.
if it wasn't with the understanding that he's got a financial backer that you may or may not have heard of
Yeah,
named Shohei
exactly.
Ohtani.
100%, dude. That's it. You answered your own
Well, and
question.
but that could just be because it's not. Maybe it wasn't explicitly implied that this is everything I bet here is going to be backed up by Shohei. It may have been just that we're friends, and the guy's like, "Fuck yeah, I love telling my clients that I've got Shohei Otani's buddy booking with me or making bets with me. It's good for business." But I or there's more questions than that. Like what these are serious allegations against Ipe now, directly from Shohei Ohtani. But I haven't heard or seen anywhere that Ohtani has filed charges against Ipe. If he has stolen $5 million from him and lied about everything, the Dodgers fired him. But where is the legal action? And if what Shohei Ohtani, if what Ohtani is saying is totally untrue, why isn't Ipe filing a lawsuit against him for wrongful firing and libel and slander and all that? It's I don't know. There's got to be some sort of legal proceedings going on at some point with this. So it's just it's just strange. All of it's strange. You could break this down saying Ipe is either the worst friend you've ever had, a liar, a grifter, a thief, or maybe he's the best friend you could ever have because he's taken the fall for Shohei Ohtani. I don't think we can go in one or the other direction at this point with clarity at least. I mean, we'll all have our leanings, but
Right.
the evidence doesn't bear either side out necessarily.
Here's where I go with that in that I think there's a little bit of both. I think what happened is Otani's camp saw the comments that he was aware that he was wiring money to a bookie, and we're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you can't admit to that. So then they got a hold of him, and the lawyers immediately got in front of the media and were like, this money's been stolen. Otani was unaware, of
Right.
it, but he wasn't. Why would he have said that? Now, there is this little, did you read? I'm sure you read it. There's this little idea that Otani presented this idea that he didn't know what the interpreter was saying because that was being translated from Otani. Otani has claimed that he didn't know that his best bud and interpreter was telling the media that he was fully aware of making payments for a gambling
Yeah.
bet to a bookie, which honestly, all right, that could be true.
So why
Yeah, but
is
why is there's
Ipe?
no lawsuit? Yes.
Well, no, why is he telling if he stole all this money from Otani, why is he telling ESPN this? If you stole $4.5 million from somebody, why would you tell a news outlet? I mean, it's crazy. Like the logical steps in this make no sense. And there's just such a murky cloud because frankly, Shohei Ohtani is a murky cloud of an individual. We know very little about him. He got married this offseason and it was a complete surprise to everyone in the world. Apparently, she's like a famous professional basketball player in Japan.
She is.
All of a sudden, they were married. I kind of made the joke earlier. There was all that mystery around the name of his dog. And then he finally revealed the dog's name was Decoy, which is even more confusing or lends to more mystery. He's just he's just shrouded in mystery. And that, that's it can be his personality if he doesn't want the public eye. He's got a global spotlight on him. You could see why he'd be a bit of a recluse, but it does not work into his favor at this point when there's so much all of this is shrouded in mystery and shadow, I guess.
I don't know if
Go
you
ahead.
had the opportunity to use any translate programs and put in
No.
Otani, but I use Google Translate, and when I
Wow,
put in
that's some hardball deep throat
oh
right
yeah,
there.
yeah, when I put in Otani, Pete Rose was the translation. So I don't
Yes.
I also tried iTranslate, and it came out as Gambling Rose. So I don't know. It's not looking good for Otani's American translation of his name.
Well, you did see Pete Rose's
Oh
comments
my
about all this.
god. Priceless.
Could not resist. He was sitting in I don't know, some kind of buffet line
Probably a
at some
sport book
Vegas.
in Vegas.
Yeah, I would say a sports book in Vegas with his really jowly friend, giant head, giant jowl. Had to introduce him, but yeah, Pete Rose had to chime in, of course, on this. He said, I wish I had an interpreter back in the 70s and 80s. I would be scot free.
I know, it's classic. It's fucking
Yeah,
classic, and to be honest, right now, a bit unrelated because it's there's no evidence to say that Otani placed any bets where there was clear evidence that Rose had placed bets. But you know what? It made me laugh out loud. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you
yeah,
the other thing
yeah.
that I was impressed with is somehow Pete Rose at his age can rock a white on white cap and actually pull it off. I was astounded by that. He must
He's
just
been
have
doing
the
that for
right.
about 10,
Yeah,
10 years. Yeah, the Cincinnati cap he's
yeah.
rocking these days. He's the hits king, man. He
I
can do
don't think
whatever the fuck he
I
wants.
don't think I could pull it off, but this guy can. This motherfucker can.
He just can't go to Cooperstown.
No, I did. I really did love it though. It was. I expected it, and it just made
I
me
don't
laugh
like
out
seeing
loud.
his face, but yeah, I mean, if I guess he said something clever at least, but if
Yeah.
he's going to be on my social feed, but
It was a little too much buildup to get to it, though. I mean, his
yeah,
to your point, jowly friend was like,
handler, whatever
Me
that
and
was.
Pete, we were sitting here and discussing some certain situations that have been happening in Major League Baseball." Like, "Oh, you're so
Pete's got something to
funny.
say.
Yeah, you're so
Mm.
funny. What a great setup."
Well, now that that this story has existed in the void of regular season games, so now that the games are starting tomorrow, I'm wondering if this is going to take a bit of a back burner. But there's still that ongoing federal investigation and this MLB investigation, whatever that turns up. We've got a lot more to learn still, and I feel like we're a week into this, and we've hardly scratched the surface.
Word Hole Media.